The Realtor180 Podcast, where valuable conversations and industry experts collide. Let's dive in and transform your business today. On this episode, we're going to take a slightly different direction, and I want to chat with you a little bit more about my road and path to martial arts and how that led and benefits me in the world of real estate today. Why was martial arts so pivotal in my life? When I was a very young age, about 4 or 5 years old, I had really, really bad asthma, and to the point where I was hospitalized. And I would spend Sunday mornings on the couch, and these kung fu movies would just play all day, and I was enamored by it. I was just in awe of this thing that was just it was so different and so beautiful to watch and intriguing. It really just stuck with me. And then in my teens, somewhere in there, the doctors, because my asthma was so bad, they would just always encourage me to exercise, build up my lungs, build up my heart, keep a strong body, and then that'll help stave off asthma attacks. And the two just kind of fit together. And so, as I was growing up, I'm obviously highly interested in martial arts, and doing it for the health benefits just kind of fit hand in hand. And so that's really where it started, and it stuck for me. Discipline. Everybody talks about martial artists having discipline. So discipline in my mind is not what I applied to martial arts necessarily. Is discipline is doing something that you know is good and beneficial in spite of not wanting to do it. And with martial arts, I was always drawn and attracted to it. But within that, there's those days when you're training and it's just tough. Like your instructor's just pushing you extra hard that day, and you have to grind it out and stay focused. I would say that's probably the number one thing that I translate into this business is it's going to get uncomfortable, it's going to get hard, and you just have to keep your mental focus to keep continuing to go where you need things to go. And I would say that's probably the number one. As though it was a long, rambly answer, I would say my ability to read in martial arts, you have to have the ability to read your opponent, right? You have to be able to interpret their movements. You have to be able to intercept what they're about to do. And so through training, you develop this level of intuition. And I would say the same applies to business. Is the more experiences you have, the more that you're familiar with the road ahead, and the sooner you can course correct and help your client steer around a potential problem before it's ever actually a problem. And then I would say the third thing that I learned, we all know that at the heart of a realtor's business is the referral. My question to you is, are you proactively building out your trusted referral network? My goal is to connect our community with top performing agents across the country. To join our exclusive community, visit www.realtor180.com and click the Join Our Network tab to connect. I don't know if this is martial arts specific, but it was definitely from my teacher. But if you're not early, you're late. And if you're late, there's hell to pay. And you never wanted to be late to class. I would think I was late maybe twice, and it sucked. There was a lot of extra push-ups. There was a lot of standing and waiting until the teacher acknowledges you to permit you to come in. And so now my whole team knows that if you're not early, you're late. I started practicing martial arts. I don't know the age, but I was in fourth grade. I took taekwondo. Didn't like it. Um, Shortly thereafter, switched to karate. Didn't love it. Got into judo. It was pretty good. I liked it. And then I started training in my late teens with a buddy of mine, Jack, who was getting into mixed martial arts. UFC was just starting at the time, and I basically parlayed it from there. Fast forward to my early 20s, I moved to San Francisco, from Connecticut to specifically my driver was I wanted to be in a hub to practice and study martial arts. And I found a martial arts school within a couple of weeks of moving here. And then I stayed and studied with that school for a good number of years. It was a little over a decade. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Realtor 180, where industry experts elevate your business. Be sure to subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Until next time, keep thriving.